Have you ever heard of a hero born in secret, whose destiny was to command one of the greatest naval battles in history? Today, we're diving into the incredible life of John of Austria, the illegitimate son of an emperor who rose to become a legend. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a story of ambition, destiny, and the clash of empires. From a hidden childhood to the Admiral's flagship, John's journey is a real-life epic that shaped the course of Europe. So buckle up as we uncover the tale of the man who was both a royal secret and a celebrated hero. Who was this mysterious figure? Born Geronimo, his existence was a closely guarded secret of the Holy Roman Emperor. Charles V imagined being the son of the most powerful man in the world, yet growing up in a modest Spanish household, completely unaware of your imperial bloodline. His father, Charles V, couldn't publicly acknowledge him but ensured he received a nobleman's education. It was only after Charles's death that the truth was revealed. The emperors will officially recognize him and his half-brother, King Philip II of Spain, welcomed him to court, bestowing upon him the name we know today, John of Austria. This revelation was a turning point. Suddenly, the boy who grew up in obscurity was thrust into the heart of the Spanish court, a world of intrigue, power, and immense pressure. But John wasn't just another noble. He possessed a natural charisma and a sharp military mind that quickly set him apart. He wasn't content to live a life of courtly leisure. He craved action and glory, a chance to prove his worth not just as the son of an emperor, but as a leader in his own right. His first major test came during the Morisco Revolt in Granada, a brutal and challenging conflict. It was here, in the mountains of southern Spain, that John first demonstrated the courage and tactical skill that would define his career. But his greatest challenge, the moment that would cement his name in the annals of history, was yet to come. The Mediterranean Sea in the 16th century was a battleground. The mighty Ottoman Empire was expanding its reach, threatening to dominate the entire sea and push further into Europe. Their naval power was feared across the Christian world. In response to this growing threat, Pope Pius V forged a powerful alliance known as the Holy League, a coalition of Catholic maritime states, including Spain, Venice, and the Papal States. They needed a commander, someone bold enough to lead their combined fleet against the formidable Turkish armada. The choice fell upon the young, charismatic, and now battle-tested John of Austria. He was only 24 years old. Imagine the weight on his shoulders. He was to lead a diverse, often quarrelsome coalition, fleet against an experienced and unified enemy. The fate of the Mediterranean, and arguably Christendom itself, rested on this young commander. The stage was set for an epic confrontation. On October 7, 1571, the Holy League's fleet met the Ottoman navy in the Gulf of Patras, near a place called Lepanto. What followed was one of the largest and most decisive naval battles in history. This wasn't just a battle, it was a crusade on water, a clash of civilizations played out with cannons, muskets, and swords. The Battle of Lepanto was a spectacle of chaos and courage. Over 400 warships, galleys powered by thousands of oarsmen, clashed in a brutal close-quarters fight. John of Austria wasn't a distant commander directing from the rear. He was in the heart of the action, aboard his flagship, the Real. His ship engaged directly with the Ottoman flagship, the Sultana, captained by the formidable Admiral Ali Pasha. The fighting was deck to deck, a desperate struggle for control. John's leadership was inspiring. He moved among his men, rallying them with his presence and his unyielding determination. His strategic genius was also on full display. He had equipped his galleys with superior firepower and positioned his fleet masterfully to exploit the weaknesses of the Ottoman formation. The turning point came when Spanish Marines stormed the Sultana. In the fierce fighting, Ali Pasha was killed and his banner was captured. Seeing their Admiral's flagship fall and his standard captured sent a wave of panic through the Ottoman fleet. The disciplined lines of the Turkish armada broke, and the battle turned into a rout. By the end of the day, the victory for the Holy League was overwhelming. The Ottoman navy was shattered. It was a victory of immense strategic and symbolic importance. The myth of Ottoman invincibility at sea was broken, and the expansion of their empire in the Mediterranean was decisively halted. John of Austria, the secret son, was now the celebrated hero of Lepanto, hailed as the savior of Christendom. News of the victory at Lepanto spread like wildfire across Europe. Bells rang in every city, and celebrations erupted from Madrid to Venice. John of Austria was the man of the hour, a living legend. His personal story, the illegitimate boy who saved Europe, captured the public imagination. He became a cultural icon, a symbol of Christian heroism and divine favor. But for John, the taste of victory was complex. He had proven his worth on the grandest stage imaginable, but his ambition was far from satisfied. He dreamed of carving out his own kingdom, perhaps by liberating Tunis or even marrying Mary, Queen of Scots, and claiming the English throne. His royal blood and his monumental victory fueled a desire for a crown of his own. However, his half-brother, King Philip II, was a cautious and often suspicious ruler. While he celebrated John's victory, he was wary of his half-brother's growing popularity and ambition. Philip saw John not as a potential king, but as a useful tool for the Spanish Empire. Instead of granting him a kingdom, Philip gave him a new, far more difficult assignment: the governorship of the Spanish Netherlands. This was no reward. The Netherlands was a hornet's nest, embroiled in a bitter revolt against Spanish rule. It was a political and military quagmire that had stumped Spain's best generals and statesmen. Sending John there was Philip's way of keeping his popular half-brother occupied, far from the centers of power where he might cause trouble. The governorship of the Netherlands proved to be a frustrating and ultimately tragic chapter in John's life. He arrived with hopes of negotiating a peaceful settlement using the charisma that had served him so well. But the situation was too far gone. The deep-seated religious and political divisions were irreconcilable. His attempts at diplomacy failed, and he was forced back into a war he did not want to fight, with insufficient funds and wavering support from Spain. The hero of Lepanto found himself bogged down in a grueling, thankless conflict. The vibrant, optimistic commander was slowly worn down by the stress, the betrayals, and the constant strain of his position. His health began to fail. In the autumn of 1578, at a military camp in what is now Belgium, John of Austria fell ill with typhus. He died on October 1st, just shy of his 32nd birthday. It was a tragic end for a man who had burned so brightly. The celebrated hero of Lepanto, the man who had stopped the Ottoman tide, died not in a glorious battle, but of disease in a muddy camp, his dreams of a crown unfulfilled. His body was famously smuggled back to Spain in pieces, hidden in saddlebags, to be reassembled and buried with the royal honours he was due at El Escorial, the royal palace of his family. So, what is the legacy of John of Austria? He is remembered primarily as the victor of Lepanto, the military genius whose tactical brilliance reshaped the power dynamics of the Mediterranean. His leadership in that battle influenced naval strategy for generations. But his story is so much more than a single victory. It's a profound human drama about the complexities of identity, legitimacy, and ambition. He was a man caught between two worlds, the shame of his illegitimate birth and the glory of his imperial heritage. He spent his life trying to reconcile these two realities, to prove that he was worthy of the name he carried. John of Austria remains a captivating figure, a fusion of heroism and tragedy. He represents the peak of Habsburg power, but also the personal cost of imperial politics. His life story reads like a great novel, a secret prince, a legendary battle, soaring ambition, and a tragic, premature end. He was a product of his time, a Renaissance man of action and honor, whose brief but spectacular career left an indelible mark on the history of Europe. His tale reminds us that history is not just made by kings and queens in their palaces, but also by those who fight to forge their own destiny against the odds. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of John of Austria. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the epic stories of history. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next video. We'll see you next time.